Alright, I'm getting ready to drill the pinholes for the guard, and these are the only holes that that I become sticklish on, so to speak, in that they need to be very accurately sized. With the pinholes for the handle, I can get a little generous on the side because I want epoxy to flow around them, but these for the guard, I need to be a very tight metal-to-metal fit, just for accuracy and to keep these things parallel when they're on either side of the knife. So I had them clamped exactly where I need them to be, and if you notice, this work is just kind of floating on the top of my milling machine vise. So this is a 3/32 bit, but all we're going to do is go down and we're going to spot just a dimple in the center of each hole. Then I'm going to remove this bit, and then this is a number 44, which is a few thousandths under the size of this 3/32 reamer. And then we're going to ream to size and just have a good accurate fit on the pins. I've got those holes filled with oil. That's all I want, is just a dimple. Alright, now I'm going to do a bit change and go all the way through with this number 44. Okay, refresh the oil in the holes, and you just want to, you kind of want to peck down slow and easy with these tiny little bits, because they're very easy to break. And back them out often to clear those chips. Alright, now I'm going to slow this thing down by about half the speed for the reamer. I just feel enough resistance to know that I'm resizing the hole, but not asking the reamer to do too much cutting, since it is a very small reamer. That's why I only step back to about a number 44 instead of a full fractional size. It just gives these small reamers a little less work to do and still does the same thing, which is accurately size this hole to 3/32. There we go. Alright, we're done with the mill for this knife. And Craig's brother-in-law, by the way, his name is Rand. So Rand, these are going to become the guards for your knife, and they'll go on last. Now we're going to temporarily pin them on so I can do some rough shaping, and that will enable me to pin them back together and then dress this top edge while the knife and all is in heat treatment. Okay, so what I've done is I've made some short pins for these, and keeping the same orientation that they had when I drilled, I temporarily pinned them to the knife. And this is so I can go over there to the grinder and I can shape this finger groove and get this ground down flush, and then get some of this mill bark off here, and then I'll be able to finish this surface of the guards when they're off the knife. And it's a much easier process to do that when they're not attached, because you just can't get into that tight corner after the knife is completed. Okay, we have the guards rough shaped down, and the reason I do this now is when I put these back on the knife is going to be somewhat finished, and I don't want to risk scratching into the work where I've precision ground it. And plus, roughing this stainless down generates quite a bit of heat. So when we go to put these guards on for good, we want them as close to finish as we can possibly get them, with the exception of some surface dressing and then maybe this radius right here. We're going to contour that, but we don't want to generate a lot of heat because we're going to be solder sealing this guard on after it's all done and in place. We solder seal this, and then we peen the guards on with pins for good. But the heat of roughing this will definitely melt the solder, and we don't want that. It's a very low melt solder. It doesn't affect the heat treatment of the knife to apply it, but it's just to seal the joint. It's not to connect metal to metal. It's not that kind of solder. the pins make a mechanical fastener that is extremely strong. So that's why we rough this down right now. Plus, I can pop these out now. I can knock my short pins out. I can put these things back together, and then I can dress this top edge and have it ready to go on the knife when it's time. So now it's time to clean up, get them foil wrapped, and into the furnace. I'm getting ready to prepare some pin stock for Craig and Rand's knife. And what I have done for years is I used to cut this raw pin stock. This is 3/32 stock. Used to cut it into 1-inch lengths, and then I would take each individual 1-inch piece and roll it by hand in some heavy sandpaper, and the idea was to put some scoring on the outside of the pin to give the epoxy something to really grip on. And I don't know, that worked for me for a long time, and then I suddenly was just sitting here and figured out, wow, I have taps, I have dies, so let's figure something out. And I don't want a full depth thread. I'm not making a piece of all thread here. But I am wanting to produce a ribbed surface for that epoxy to grip. So what I've done, this is 3/32 pin stock, 93 thousandths in diameter. So in this little Greenfield die stock, I've put a 540 adjustable die. 5 is 1/8 inch. And being as it's an adjustable die, I have just pinched the die closed until it just makes contact. We don't want a full depth thread, but it just makes contact enough to grip this, and then running it through, and I have a nice rib pattern on the outside of this die where it's coming through. So I just got it chucked up in a drill here. And if I had to guess, that's probably not even a 40% depth thread, but it's enough for the epoxy to get a grip on. So what I'll do is I'll finish this by hand. I'll put this in the vise. So I'm just going to roll this till I come off the end of the stock, and I've got my pin stock is prepared. Now for the hole that I drilled through the handle scale, well, we originally drilled 3/32, and then we enlarged by a few thousandths. Well, this is a number 440 tap. And 440 takes a number 43 tap drill for a 75% thread. And the number 43 is 89 thousandths. Well, the hole was 93 to start with. So we're not going to cut a full depth thread, and then we enlarge it by a few thousandths. So we're probably going to be cutting the 30% depth thread inside the handle scale. But, what it's going to do is give us those two corrugated surfaces for that epoxy to really get a good grip on. And then we won't be having any handle metal separation, which is real important to me. So yeah, after years of doing this one at a time, I kind of figured out how to put my machine shop tools to some better use. And I generally buy this pin stock in 3-foot lengths. So I'm going to be doing this to 3-foot long bars of this stuff, and just having it on hand to get those steps out of the way so I don't have to stop and do them for each individual knife. But yeah, every once in a while I'll have a good idea.